What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Young Electrician Podcast. My name is Ruben Young, aka the Young Electrician. Here on this podcast, we like to see electricians grow, not just in the field, but also in their personal lives. We believe you should have a work-life balance, and both should be beneficial and rewarding. They should complement each other and not compete. With that said, today's episode, we are going to be talking about a lesser-known requirement for taking the Journeyman exam. And I'm going to give you guys an update on the unskilled versus skilled Journeyman worker thing that I brought up last week. So stick around for that. All right, let's hop right into it. I'm going to give you guys a scenario before I share what this particular thing is. Here's a scenario. A guy starts out in the trade his first year. He goes to a community college. He signs up for an electrical course, and he takes that information and he gets his ET card, his electrical trainee card. He goes, he gets a job, he starts working. He's going to school. He does all of his hours. He's with that same company for 4 years. He gets his 8,000 hours. He got his 900 hours of schooling in. And he goes to send in the electrical exam form. The only thing he didn't do was keep his ET card up to date. What do you think is going to happen? All right, so here goes the lesser known requirement for becoming a journeyman. Aside from needing 900 hours of schooling, if you take this schooling route, and aside from needing 8,000 hours of on-the-job training, you need to have an active ET card the entire time. Well, I shouldn't say the entire time, but you need to have an active ET card for 8,000 hours. So 8,000 hours that you've worked should have been worked while you had an ET card. Now, I had a buddy in one of my old companies. He just got 8,000 hours. He finished his schooling. I think he finished his schooling. He was close to the end, something like that. And he sent his paperwork in, and it was sent back to him, and they said that they did not recognize 2 years of his on-the-job experience because there was a gap in his ET card renewal. And I think this has bitten more people in the butt than we're aware of. Now, if you're an electrical trainee or you're planning on becoming an electrical trainee, you got to understand this. This is going to affect you. If you fail to keep your ET card up to date, then you run the possible risk of having to wait longer before you have the right requirements to become a certified journeyman. And it's interesting though, because in my experience, a lot of companies do not require you to show proof of an ET card. So you could be with the same company for 5 years, and this is usually the smaller to medium-sized companies, and they don't require you to have an active ET card. So you can kind of skate by. You don't have to go to school. You just have to show them that ET card one time, and you can skate by the rest of your career, never show them anything again. But that bites you in the butt. And I have been to some larger companies that do require you. They have it on their system, and once your ET card comes up, if you do not renew it, you will be, sat down until you do. And I never liked that because that's kind of dumb. But now I see why. I see that it's not just protecting them to make sure they have, legally authorized people working for their company, but it also protects you so that you don't get to the end of your, electrical traineeship or your apprenticeship and it bites you in the butt. So hopefully that information helps you guys. Now, I want to share a little bit about what I learned about the unskilled versus skilled worker journeyman issue that I brought up on the last episode. Now, I called WICA, which is one of the apprenticeship programs here in California, and I asked them because they have an apprenticeship program and they have an ET program. So before I hop into it, let me just explain again what the issue is. The issue is this. On some prevailing wage jobs here in California, if you are a journeyman that went through an ET program, or you didn't go to school, you just used your on-the-job hours and you got certified with no schooling, and you did not go through an accredited apprenticeship program, you are considered an unskilled worker journeyman. And those who have went through an apprenticeship program and graduated, they are considered a skilled worker journeyman. Very ridiculous. I know. I'm not going to waste time getting into how ridiculous that is. It's just the reality of the situation. Now, for some public works jobs, prevailing wage jobs, somebody who is an unskilled journeyman will not be able to get on that job site by law. Not by some companies, how they want to do things, but by law. Now, I believe it was in 2020 or 2021 where it changed to the number of a percentage of journeymen that are skilled workers on particular public work jobs. 60% of the journeymen would have to have graduated an electrical apprenticeship program. Now, this is going to affect people because it's moving towards, I think, either this year it's going up to 90% or 100%. It's going up to a higher percentage this year. So certain public works jobs, if you are a certified journeyman, you took the same test everybody else did, you put the same amount of hours everybody else did, but you are not going to be able to work on certain jobs, or you're going to have a very slim chance of working on those jobs. And you got to understand something. Let's say it only goes up to 80 or 90% this year. Your company, a lot of these companies, they don't care. These electric companies that hire us to do the jobs, they don't care to do the actual groundwork to look at what the legal requirement is. They're going to ask somebody's going to share it with them, and they're going to probably take their word for it. So what that's going to do is that's going to cause a lot of companies to only hire skilled worker journeymen for public works jobs just to cover their butt. Because I don't know what the penalty is, if they hire too many unskilled journeymen. And I'm pretty sure they don't want to find out. They don't want to get fined by the state. We live in California. That's probably going to be expensive. So I called WICA and I asked them, if somebody goes through your ET program, and not your apprenticeship program, would that person be considered a skilled worker because they're going through a school that is an accredited, indentured school? And you know what they told me? They said no. It blew my mind, but it kind of put the pieces together from what I was reading previously on another website. They told me no, if you go to the ET program, you could still be a journeyman, but you will not be considered a skilled worker journeyman. You would have to have had, you would have had to graduate their apprenticeship program. So what does this mean? If you're in an ET, whatever school you went to, you are not considered a skilled worker. So that means you are going to be barred from going to certain public works jobs. Now, why do I bring this up? Because it doesn't even seem to be that big of an issue. Maybe some of you guys never even been on a prevailing wage job. I bring that up because it's moving us towards a place where people who are electrical trainees and those who are journeymen who were electrical trainees are no longer going to be allowed on a lot of, the higher paying jobs. And if you're an ET, it's already hard to get on a prevailing wage job because they got to pay you like a journeyman, and they don't want to do that. Even if you've been in the trade for 20, 30 years, you could be their top guy. A lot of times they don't want to put you on a prevailing wage job because you're not certified and you're not an apprentice. So it's really hard. But where I kind of see this going is I see this going in the direction where there would no longer be any journeyman that did not go through an apprenticeship program allowed on public works jobs. And I don't see this affecting the private sector so much because, let's just face it, there's no government money attached to these private jobs. So I don't think the government really cares who you're hiring so long as, they have the legal requirements to work on the job. So I don't think it's going to affect the private sector so much. Another thing this affects is if you are an electrical ET, you will not be allowed on these jobs. That's it. If you're not a journeyman, then you would have to be in an electrical, an apprenticeship program. And if you are a journeyman, then the majority of the journeymen there, you're going to have a very slim chance if you're not a skilled worker, because the majority of the journeymen will have to be skilled workers. I do kind of see this going to a place where not just ETs are, barred from it, but also all the unskilled journeymen, quote unquote, will be barred from it. So that kind of stinks, but it is what it is. And I want you guys to be aware of this, because this could affect your career. If you don't prepare for it right now, you could come to a place where, you could have been on this prevailing wage job for, a number of years and making money and providing for your family and, moving up. But then now you are prevented from doing that because you were unaware of this information. So what's the good news, or I should say the slight silver lining in all this? Let's say you're like me and you're not a skilled worker journeyman because you were an ET before. I talked to Wika, and there are schools that give us accelerated programs. And I know a lot of guys don't like this. Our pride kind of gets in the way. We're like, man, we've been doing this for years. Why do I have to go to school? It stinks. I feel the same way, but it is what it is. And if you want to not be barred from these job sites, then this is the reality. They have accelerated programs that you could take and talk to your company. Maybe your company will sponsor you and they'll pay for it or pay for half of it. I'm going to get more information. If you guys want, comment, send me a message. If you guys want more information on what schools, don't take as long, what schools don't cost as much, or just more information on the different schools that you could take that have an accelerated program that would allow you to be a skilled worker journeyman, then let me know. And then I'll try to provide that information for you guys. So with that said, if you are a journeyman, or if you're an ET that's about to get certified, just know that it will be beneficial to take an accelerated program to become a skilled worker journeyman. Granted, it's dumb, it's ridiculous, it's unfair if you ask me, but it is what it is, and that's just the reality of the situation. So I just wanted to bring you guys that information. I want you guys to be aware of this stuff because I want to see you guys do well in the electrical trade. I shared in the first episode how in my life, in my career, my upbringing in the electrical trade, I didn't have a lot of mentors. I didn't have a lot of people give me information, and I struggled a lot because of that. And all the things that I've learned, all the information that I've gathered, I want to give it to you guys so that you guys could excel, not just in the trade, but also in your life. Because who cares, man? You get rich in the trade and, your family disintegrates. You have nothing to show for it. It was all pointless. So that's the reason why I want to bring this information to you guys. With that said, I'm going to end it right here. If you guys have any questions, comments, anything, just, whatever platform you're on, leave me a question, leave me a comment, send me a message, and I'll get back to you guys. I usually respond relatively quickly, especially on Facebook. I mean, not on Facebook, on YouTube. I usually have a lot of good conversations on YouTube. So also, if you guys are listening on Spotify or one of your podcasting channels, go over to the YouTube channel, support me there. Hop into some of the conversations, watch some of the videos. I got some how-to videos on, just different journeyman prep questions. I got some advice for apprentices, advice for different things on there. So go check that out, support me there. And yeah. All right. See you guys in the next one.